Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's reading of Stoic Works. Yay! My name is Brady. I'll be your host today. Licensed therapist in the state of Ohio, down here in Hilliard, Ohio, just outside of Columbus. Thank you for joining me on my lunch break. Hopefully everyone else is having a good lunch break as well. So how it'll work is I will read some of this fun stuff, and if we have enough people viewing, at the end we will sit around and talk about it. If no one else views, then I will just simply keep on reading and then post this up to the YouTube. Feel free to follow me on here so you can get the updates. It's supposed to be every Monday and every Thursday around 12:15 or 12:30 for about 30 minutes. And then you can also hop over to YouTube, same username, Brainoon, follow and subscribe and set up alerts there so that way you can know when the good stuff comes along if you're unable to watch it during this time. Gotta get that water. All right, so hello, welcome to my messy kitchen. So last week, I think we left off at number 25. So without any further ado, 25. Do you envy someone who is popular at work, invited to parties, and spoken of in social circles? If they attract love because of positive character qualities, be glad for them. If they attract attention because of negative character qualities, be glad you don't share them. Do not expect to equal anyone in effect without putting forth a similar effort. A person who rarely leaves home, doesn't deserve or doesn't converse with, praise and encourage others will not attract friends. So there's your key to friendship there. Everything has its price. How much does lettuce cost? If you are unwilling to pay $1 for lettuce, yet you envy the man who has a bag full of lettuce because he paid $5, you are a fool. Do not imagine he has gained an advantage over you. He has his lettuce, you have your coins. So if you have not been invited to a party, it is because you haven't paid the price of the invitation. It costs social engagement, conversation, encouragement, and praise. If you are not willing to pay this price, do not be upset when you don't receive an invitation. Do you have anything good in place of the invitation? Yes. You have the pleasure of not making small talk with people you don't really like, not praising someone you don't admire, and not mingling with lackeys. Spit and fire, man. Number 26. When our neighbor's boy breaks their vase, we are likely to say, oh, well, accidents happen. But how would you react if your own vase was broken? You ought to react in the same way you did when it was your neighbor's property that was damaged. Now apply this to greater things. If your neighbor's child or wife dies, you think naturally these things happen. We're all mortal. But if your own child or wife dies, you cry out in despair, I wish I'd never been born, or something to that effect. Whenever misfortune befalls, you ask yourself how you would react if it were someone else in the same situation. Fun fact that the therapy tool, it's pretty much what advice would you give yourself if you were your friend? If you were talking to a friend going through the same things as yourself, what would you be saying to them? 27, probably one of my favorites. The good stands before us like an archer's target. Evil is not a thing in itself, but a missing of the mark, an arrow gone astray. 28. If someone tried to take control of your body and make you a slave, you would fight for freedom. Yet, how easily you hand over your mind to anyone who insults you. When you dwell on their words and let them dominate your thoughts, you make them your master. Number 29. In every situation, consider what precedes it and what may follow. Then act. If you act rashly without regard for consequences, you may defeat your purposes. Say your goal is to win a wrestling match at the Olympic Games. Consider what comes before, during, and after the event. Before, you must train rigorously, eat a strict diet, abstain from alcohol, obey your coach, and follow the rules of the competition. During the match, you may be thrown down, dislocate your arm, sprain your ankle, eat dust, be bitten. beaten. Or bitten. I guess you could be bitten. If you have considered all this and you still want to wrestle, by all means, begin training. Otherwise, you are like a child who daydreams about being a great wrestler and acts out shows with his friends. Some hear a lecture from a wise philosopher and are inspired to become philosophers. Lacking study and practice, they are mere imitators. Hello, viewer. I don't know who you are right now. Who is it? Better not just be me in Streamlabs. I'm going to be kind of salty if it is. Anyways, shoot a comment so I know who you are. You may fancy yourself a wrestler, then a gladiator, then an orator, then a philosopher, but never begin training in earnest. Hey, it's Amanda. Hi. If so, you are a dabbler who samples many fields, but when the time comes to commit to one, you move on to the next. To find your vocation, first consider your talents and inclinations. Do you have the back, shoulders, and thighs of a wrestler, or the potential and determination to gain them through exercise? Do you live in a way befitting of a philosopher, or are you reckless, quick to anger, and a glutton for food and drink? If you truly wish to be a philosopher, you must gain self-control, give up friends who are bad influences, and be prepared to face ridicule and scorn, and be willing to give up honors, offices, riches, and fames. If you have fully considered these consequences, and you still wish to make the sacrifice for peace, freedom, and inner harmony, by all means, begin your philosophical training. Whatever your vocation, pursue it wholeheartedly. Consider, choose, and commit. Number 30. Duties are determined by relations. If a man is your father, that relationship implies the duties of listening to his counsel, following his instruction, patiently receiving his correction, and helping to take care of him in his old age. Now suppose he is a bad father. Are your duties voided, or is there still a natural bond? Before judging his behavior, look to your own. Fulfill your duties to the best of your ability. If he insults or rejects you, do not stoop to his level and retaliate in anger. Hold securely to your clear conscience and inner harmony. From the example of the father, you can deduce how to fulfill your duties in relation to neighbors, employers, and so on. No one can steal your peace of mind unless you let them. I have a few clients. I might read that one too. Number 31. Worship the gods by acknowledging that they govern the universe justly and well. Resolve to know the laws of nature, follow them in all circumstances, let them shape you. Be guided by their perfect wisdom. Then you will never feel cheated or ignored by the gods. This is only possible if you let go of all things beyond your control. Stop judging the things that fate brings you as good or evil. Only judge your own thoughts, desires, and actions as good or evil. If you suppose events to be good or evil in themselves, when life doesn't go as you wish, you will inevitably blame the author. Everyone naturally avoids and curses things that seem harmful and pursues the praises of things that seem helpful. If you believe that someone has deliberately hurt you, it is impossible to praise them. Or if a son feels his father has withheld good things and given him evil, he cannot honor his father. For the same reason, those who curse things outside of their power revile the gods. Where our attention and affection lie, there too is our worship. Take care, then, to direct your focus, desires, and dislikes. Be mindful of this when you participate in religious services and prayers. In devotion, be neither careless nor extravagant. Number 32. When you hear predictions of the future, do not become fearful or excited. Remember that future events are beyond your control. Keep the same serene mindset you had before hearing the prediction. When you understand that outside events do not touch your deepest self, what matters is your interpretation and reaction, you can use any circumstance to your benefit. Trust fate and trust yourself. Seek advice from the laws of nature, not prognosticators. Suppose you visit an oracle, and she predicts that one of your friends will be arrested and exiled. Will you let this prophecy change your behavior? Will you abandon your friend in anticipation of trouble? If your friend is unjustly arrested, reason demands that you stand by him. Agreeing with this law of nature, the greatest oracles, the Oracle at Delphi, once threw a man out of the temple for abandoning his friend. Number 33. Be the same person in public as in private. Speak only what is useful and beneficial. In conversations, avoid idle chatter about horse races, athletes, celebrities, food and drink. Refuse to participate in gossip, tearing down, inflating, and judging other people. Among friends, shift the conversation to worthy topics. Among strangers, stay silent. Do not laugh loudly and obnoxiously. Avoid taking oaths, binding your will to another person or a group of people as much as possible. Avoid vulgar entertainments. Sometimes you may accept an invitation out of politeness. In that case, go, but keep your mental distance. But if your friends keep inviting you out to degrading shows, find new friends, or you will soon find yourself off the path and in a mud pit. Take care of your bodily needs, food, drink, clothes, shelter, but avoid luxury and indulgence. Enjoy sex only within the bounds of your marriage, but do not assume a posture of moral superiority and look down upon those who behave otherwise. If a friend tells you that someone has criticized or insulted you, say they must not know about my other faults, or they would have pointed those out too. When you attend those games, do not get emotionally invested in the rivalry. Wish only that the best team or athlete wins. Avoid the extremes of elation at a win and devastation at a loss. When you attend parties, be a polite guest. Do not revel to the point of losing your dignity. In company, do not prattle on about your own adventures or misadventures. However exciting your exploits are to you, others may not be so interested. Also, keep your language free of obscenities. Oops. Do not dip into the gutter in search of cheap laughs. If you are unsure how to act in a given situation, ask yourself how Socrates or Zeno would behave. Model yourself after the wisest. That was quite a lengthy one. A lot of these I'm finding a lot of parallelisms between the Gospels and the letters. Yeah, that banging is Rachel. I don't have my desktop audio muted. I should probably do that. She's in a training right now. Not a training. She's it's all the All Ohio Counselor Association or something. And the presentation she's in right now, as she says, the presenter is terrible. All she's doing is reading off the slides, and you can tell she's reading off of something on her screen as well. It's quite agitating. And then she shares a picture of, I can't remember her name from Seinfeld, just like going. Okay, so yeah, that's what all the pings are. Sorry for the distraction. Do not be disturbed. Be undisturbed. All right, so 34. When you feel burning desire for something that appears pleasurable, you are like a person under a spell. Instead of acting on impulse, take a step back and wait until the enchantment fades and you can see things as they are. Consider the cost of pursuing this potential pleasure, every consequence that may follow from acquiring or experiencing it, and how you feel about it the next day. It's kind of like what they tell us to do with impulse shopping. Then consider how you will feel about yourself tomorrow if you resist the temptation today. If reason tells you a pleasure is wholesome and harmless, you may enjoy it in moderation, but take care not to let your happiness gradually become dependent on it. Gaining in self-possession is more satisfying than any bodily pleasure. 35. Whenever you act from clear judgment, doing what needs to be done, do not worry about what others will think, even if the whole world might misunderstand you. If you are off course, correct yourself. But if you know you are in the right, why fear those who misjudge you? The worst they're going to do is kill you, and that's okay, right? Come on, guys, be stoic. Black and white thinking may seem powerful in speeches and debates, but real life is mostly gray areas. It is rarely a question of good versus bad, but of weighing greater and lesser goods on a scale of values. At a feast, taking the largest helping may be good for your appetite, but sharing generously is good for the spirit of celebration. In this case, honoring your host and fellow guest would be valued above saving your hunger. Man, I'm flying through these. They're also getting shorter. 37. If you win the adoration of others by pretending to be someone you're not, you may gain celebrity or high office, but you will lose out on the fulfillment of a life best suited to your attributes and abilities. 38. As when walking, you keep an eye out for sharp stones and fallen branches in your path. So when thinking, watch out for obstacles or errors in your line of thought. Tread carefully, taking care not to stumble into illogic and unreason. 39. Our possessions should be best suited to our bodies and lives, just as our shoes are suited to our feet. Could you run better if your shoes were larger than your feet? Or gold-plated and diamond-studded? Of course not. Once you let your appetite exceed what is necessary and useful, desire knows no bounds. I pride myself on being utilitarian. 40. Some young women confuse their self-worth with the ability to attract the attention of young men, and vice versa. Some young men confuse their self-worth with the ability to attract the attention of women. And so pour all their energies into makeup, clothing, jewelry for men, working out, other silly things that I could have my wife talk to you about instead. She works at the Buckeye Ranch on one of the boys' houses, and I have some pretty twisted sense about how to have relationships. If only they realize that virtue, honor, and self-respect are the marks of a true beauty, or a true man, or whatever. I don't like how sexist that one is, but whatever. 41. I didn't write the book. It betrays a lack of an interior life when a person is overly focused on bodily things, whether indulging in food and drink, exercising to exhaustion, or spending excessive time on grooming. Care for your body as needed, but put your main energies and efforts into cultivating your mind. 42. Whenever someone helps or hinders you, or praises or criticizes you, remember that they only are seeing you through the lens of their own impressions. If they act or speak from a warped perspective, they hurt themselves, not you. For if someone mistakes truth for falsehood, the truth is not harmed, but only the person deceived. Keeping this in mind, gently turn away from any insult or injury. It seems right to them, even though they are mistaken. 43. Everything is two handles, one by which it can be carried and one by which it cannot. If a friend treats you unfairly, do not try to grasp the situation by the handle of retribution. It will burn your hand. Instead, reach for the opposite handle of reconciliation. Remember that you are friends. You've known each other for a long time and the relationship is worth keeping. By this handle, it can be carried. All right, so give me a second. My 1 o'clock just popped in. I'm going to let them know I'll be in shortly. Neat. And we are at our 20-minute mark, which is where I usually will offer time for discussion. Amanda, do you want to hop in and talk about anything, or are you cool? I imagine you're working, so you can't really hop in and say anything. Oh, I'll add a chicken in my rice. That's sad. Okay, so I'll read a few more. We're actually getting close to the end. If only I could read them all today. You are welcome for the words. I am happy to give words. Even though it's like all I do all day. You'd think I'd like some peace and quiet. Really, this was just a trick to make me read this book because I kept putting it off. I don't have that many left. I may do a short one today and just leave it here. And then pick up at the end on Thursday. I totally forgot last Thursday. It was like 1 o'clock. I'm like, oh, I was supposed to do this. But it was too late. So I suppose then I'm going to go ahead and get off. Thank you for watching, Amanda. Anyone else watching this post-recording, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in on Thursday, if I remember. 12:15, 12:30. Feel free to share with friends, share with enemies too. I don't know if you want to torture them with philosophy, let them have it. Or if you know people who are a little bit disturbed and in need of being undisturbed, send them my way. Feel free to share it. I should have this up on YouTube shortly. And then once we're done with this one, I'll actually be reading the Enchiridion, which is Epictetus's actual work of the manual, which is what we're reading through. So it may sound repetitive, but it's actually like in his old school, originally translated words. So I also think there's a lot more entries than just like the 53 that are in this one. I don't know, I haven't fully looked through it. So we'll go through that next. And then Thursday nights are now my gaming nights, so tune in Thursday night as well to see my friend Josh and my friend Andy and I play through Halo Combat Evolved. And then we'll go from there. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And I hope you all have an undisturbing day.